students, welcome back. Today I'm in Radha from Art and Progressive School, going to start another topic of the same chapter that we were discussing in the last class, and chapter name was the living world. Okay, so in this chapter, the living world, we were discussing that what do you mean by the living thing? What are the different characteristics of the living organisms, right? So we have done that the reproduction as well as the growth is not the defining property of the life. So what are the defining property of life? Like metabolism, consciousness, okay? So like these things, they are the defining properties. Okay, so how they are defining property, we have completed that part. So now today we will start with another topic, that is the diversity in the living world. What does it mean? It means that whenever we are talking about the living thing which is present in this world, okay, so there are different forms of life. We know that there are some lower plants, some higher plants, as well as some microscopic organism also, right? So we can say that in our earth so many diversity is present. So how we can categorize and how we can give the namings? Okay, so here we will understand that what do you understand by the diversity. So here what is happening, that we are talking about the biodiversity. Why? Because here we are talking about the variation among the living organism. So whenever we are talking about the biodiversity, it is composed of two terms. What is it? Bio means something which is living one, and diversity means diverse forms. Okay, diversity is what? It is a diverse forms of life. So all the living organism which is having very diverse form, it comes under the biodiversity. Okay, again this data is very important from the examination point of view. Okay, so what is that number of species? Okay, so the total number of species which is present on the earth, it is 1.7 to 1.8 million. Okay, so you can assume that so many species are there on the earth, and we have to classify, we have to categorize. So how you will do it? Okay, so in this topic we are going to understand that what are the different ways by which we can understand so many species. Okay, so if I will talk about the species which is present totally on this earth, out of them the number of animal species will be more. Okay, so what is the data? 1.25 million. So you can see that most of the species which is present on this earth, it is contributed by the animal one. Okay, as compared to the plant species which is only 0.55 million, right? So we can say that we have to study that much species. So you can imagine that how much time it will take. So many methods are required here. So how can we classify, and how can we identify it, right? Again, if I will talk about the animal species, okay, if I will talk about the animal species, we know that the major or the largest phylum is what? Arthropoda. Okay, in this arthropoda, most of the animal species, they are present. Okay, specifically if I will talk about the arthropoda is what? Largest one. Okay, arthropoda. Why we are saying arthropoda? Poda relates to feet. Okay, and arthro relates to when they are having different feet. So if I will talk about specific class of this arthropoda, what is that? It is an insecta. Okay, because we know that we are having so many species of insects, right? So if I will ask you which is the largest one, so we can say animal species. Okay, if I will ask that in animal species, most of the species comes under which one? Your answer will be arthropoda, and in arthropoda specifically I will ask you, the answer will be insecta. Okay, so like this, everything which is present on this earth, they are the living organism. Okay, and here we have discussed about the biodiversity is what? The different forms of life which is present on this earth, and they are the living one. Okay, now comes to the term biodiversity. So this biodiversity term coined by the W.G. Rosen in 1985. Again, it will be important question for the MCQ, right? Now comes to that, here we are saying that so many species, you can imagine that how many species, around 1.7 to 1 million species are there on this earth. So how can you identify? You can take one example. If you will go to the garden, okay, you can see there are different forms of life, plant also, animals also, some microscopic organism also. So everywhere life is there. So still you cannot study the whole species which is present on the garden, right? So imagine that if you cannot study that much area, so how can you study that much species, isn't it? So what is the requirement? There is a requirement that how we are going to study, how we will classify them. So here we have done this method with the help of the naming one, okay, nomenclature. So first of all, for any naming, if you are seeing any of the organisms, okay, which you don't know what it is, right, you don't know anything about that organism, and you are seeing that it's not identified. So first of all, the first step will be what? The first step will be the identification, okay, whether you know about that species, yes or no, or what are the different characteristics on the basis of that which you can identify. Okay, so here we will study about the identification, then there will be nomenclature. Okay, we know that we all are getting a name. Why? Because we are different from any other one. So our name decides about our characteristics, okay? Because if any person wants to introduce you, so what he will say? First he will take your name, okay? Then he will talk about you. So like this, what will happen? First identification will be there, and then there will be nomenclature. So whatever you have identified, you will go for the naming. Okay, you will compare the characteristics and you will give the name on the basis of the old characteristics which has been given to the other organism. Okay, so now the third will be the classification. So three things we are going to study here: identification, nomenclature and classification. Once the nomenclature has been done, once the it has got its name, so what will happen? You have to classify it also. What is the classification? In very simple way, if you will talk about the school, in the school also we have classified the students on the basis of their ages. Okay, on the basis of their ages we are having lower kg, then upper kg, then first, second, third, fourth, up to 12, right? So what we have done, we have classified them to make it simplification. So why we are doing classification? So that the things will get simplified, okay, and it will be easier for us to understand it. So here we will start with the nomenclature. Once we have identified, if you will see any organism around you, you will identify that yes, we have to study about this organism. So this is your identification. Then comes to the nomenclature. Nomenclature is what? To assign the names. What do you understand by nomenclature? To assign the names to the particular species which you have identified. Okay, so here this nomenclature can be of different types, or we can say two different types. What are they? Common name as well as the scientific name. The name itself indicates that common name is what? The simple name which you are speaking in day-to-day life, right? Or this common name, it is also known as what? It is also known as the vernacular name. Why vernacular? Because here we are talking about the local language. Okay, whatever the name we are giving here on the basis of the local language which has been spoken in that particular area. Okay, on the basis of that they are giving the name. For example, if I will talk about the sparrow, okay, sparrow having the chirping sound. So what we have said? Chidiya. Likewise, there is one plant, okay, so it is giving some milky substances. So what we have said? Dodhak. Okay, so here what we are talking about, that whatever the name we are assigning here on the basis of the local languages, okay, on the basis of their physical characteristics, we are not going to study more about it. So here we can say that common name is what? It is easy to pronounce because we are giving the names on the basis of their common language. Okay, so this is the advantage also of the common naming. But here there are some disadvantages also. So what can be the disadvantages of the common naming? The first disadvantage is what? It is not assigned to microscopic or the non-significant one. It means that we are not giving the names to those organisms which are microscopic. Why? Because we cannot see them. If we cannot see them, so we cannot assigning any name to them. Okay, so they will remain unnamed here. And in the second part, it is that it is about the non-significant. It means that those organisms which is not of our use, we are not going to bother about it. Okay, so that's why we are not giving name to them. So here there are some organisms which remain unnamed, and only we are assigning the names to those organisms which is of our use. Okay, this is the disadvantage. Then another disadvantage is that it is providing misleading. Misleading means that sometimes we have to assign the name on the basis of the characteristics. Okay, but here we are talking about the physical characteristics. If something is matching or something is similar to the physical appearance of any other one, we are assigning the name on the basis of that one, right? So here what happened, that some name which we have given to the organism, it is not the correct one. If we will talk about the scientifically they are the incorrect one. That's why what is happening here, it is creating misleading among the people. Likewise, cuttlefish, jellyfish, starfish. Okay, in all three what you are watching, that we have used that word fish, but these are not the fishes. These doesn't come under the fishes category. Why? Because they, if you will see scientifically, so they are not sharing any characteristics with the Pisces. Okay, but still on the basis of their physical appearance, they have assigned the name these cuttlefish, jellyfish and starfish. Okay, and but it come under the any other phylum. Okay, so this is another disadvantage here. Now if I am talking about these misleading, so it means that they have no scientific ground. Okay, so they are not having any scientific basis on which we can say yes, they are this particular organism, right? So that's why this is advantages also, but it is having more disadvantages, right? So example is what, in India we are calling gorilla. In England we are using word house sparrow. In Spain we are using word poodle. Okay, now if any scientist, if he or she has to study about any organism, okay, so what will happen if they will sit at the global level? Okay, if there will be any meeting or any conference will be there in global level, what will happen? All the scientists will bring their common name, okay, and they will start discussing. So it will be difficult for the other people or the people of other countries to understand, because they don't know about this common naming of each and every country. Okay, so what is the requirement? So we have to assign a one name so that it can be used globally. Okay, so that particular name should be used globally, and it will be advantageous for what? For studying any organism. If somebody is going to research anything, so it is required that he or she can be able to make understand the other people also. Okay, so here what we want that particular name which we can use in the global level. In all the countries we are using that name, and that name will be what? It will be the scientific name. Okay, so another one will be what? It will be the scientific naming. In scientific naming, what we are going to do? We are assigning one name, and we are not talking about any common name. Okay, now so who is going to assign the scientific name? So there are different organizations which is dealing with the naming of these things. Okay, so what are the different organizations? Here if we will talk about the biodiversity, it consists of both plants as well as animals, right? So if we will talk about the plants, as I have said you, that plant, whenever we are going to study about the plant, it comes under the botany, right? So here whenever we are talking about the naming of all the plants, it will be done by the ICBN. What is this IBN? International Code for Botanical Research. Okay, so here what is happening? International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. It means that we are talking about the plants. Whatever the things we have to give name, Okay, assigning name to the plants, it will be done by the ICBN. And if we will talk about the animals, if we have to assign any name, any scientific name to any animals, what will happen? It will be done by the ICZN. ICZN is what? International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. Here we are talking about what? Zoology. Zoology is what? Study of animals. Okay. So these are the organization which is responsible for giving names to the plants as well as animals here. Okay. Again, this will become important question, that how can you abbreviate your ICBN or the ICZN, or we can ask that which is responsible for giving name to the plant species as well as for the animal species. Okay, so these questions can be asked in your examination right here. So what we are going to study, that scientific naming. So what is the use of scientific naming? So that it will be understood for the global level. Okay, so here what can be the scientific naming? Scientific naming again can be done by the different methods. It can be the binomial nomenclature or it can be trinomial nomenclature. Okay, bi relates to what? It consists of two components. Bi means it consists of two components, and what is trinomial? It consists of three components, right? So here whenever we are giving name on the basis of two components, for example, if somebody having any name, okay, if we'll talk about any name like Sunita, okay, this is the first name. If I will talk about the Grover, it will be the second name. Okay, so it will become your name as well as surname. It is having two components, right? Same ways when we are talking about the binomial nomenclature, we are talking about the two components. Okay, what are these two components here? It can be the generic name and it can be specific epithet. What can be the two components here? Don't confuse between these things. Generic name as well as specific epithet. And you must have done this name like this: genus and species. Okay, same like genus is what? Generic name. Species is what? Specific epithet. Okay, so this much is there in this binomial nomenclature. Now comes to here that what are the different rules? Okay, how we are going to assign these binomial nomenclature. So what are the different rules here? So the rule is that first of all, the name which we are going to assign here, it should be in Latin language. Okay, now question arises that why only in Latin language? Because Latin is a dead language. What it is? It is a dead language. And what do you understand by dead language? It means that there will be no more changes. Okay, there will be no changes in this language, because we know that in English day by day there are some changes are there. Okay, but in this language, once it has been there will be no more changes. Okay, this is constant one, this is a stable one. So that's why we are giving assigning name in the Latin language. It doesn't matter that from where we are talking about, from where we are assigning the name, right? So here the first thing is that the naming should be in Latin language, as well as the second rule that whenever we are writing about the genus, first we are writing the genus, then we are writing the species. So how you will write this genus and how we will write the species? It means that the first letter of the genus, okay, the first letter of genus, it should be in capital letter. Okay, the first letter should be in of genus should be in capital letter, and the first letter of species, it should be in small letter. Okay, this is the rule. So for example, if I will take the example of mango, mango is what? We all know what is scientific name of mango? Mangifera indica. What it is? Mangifera indica. So you can see that M is what? Capital and I is small. Mangifera is representing genus. Indica is representing species. Okay. Now another step is that whenever we are writing with our hands, okay, whenever we are talking about the handwriting, so we have to underline separately both genus and species. Okay, what is it? We have to underline separately the genus as well as species when we are writing okay, when we are going for the handwriting. But when we are going for the typing, what will be the rule? That it should be in the italic font. Italic font. It means that something it is in a slanting position. You must have seen in the printed form there is some italicized form is there. Okay, so you can see that like this it is given. Okay, so if it is there this italic form, so no need to underline it. So two things are there when we are going for the handwriting as well as when we are watching in the print form. Okay, so this is the rule here. Now, this binomial nomenclature, it has been given by whom? By the Carolus Linnaeus. Again, very important question. Okay, so who has given this binomial nomenclature? Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, then how he has assigned this name? When he has taken the reference of plants as well as animals. Okay, because they have assigned the names to the plant species as well as animal species. So here, for the plant species, they have taken the reference from the book Species Plantarum. Very important one. And for the animals, they have taken from the Systema Naturae. Okay, and when these books get published in 1753, Species Plantarum, and 1756, Systema Naturae. So with the help of these things, they have assigned names to the plant species as well as the animal species, and here it is having two components, genus as well as species, right here. So now we will understand the second one, trinomial nomenclature. So what do you understand by tri? Means three. Okay, nomial means that we are talking about the naming or assigning the names, right? So here what is happening, that it consists of three components. Likewise in binomial nomenclature, it is composed of two components, genera as well as species, genus and species. So here there will be one more additional one. So three component is what? The first will remain same, genus, second one it will be species, and third one it will be the subspecies. Okay, you can say subspecies as well as variety, both are the same thing, but the only difference is that in case of subspecies we are using this word in case of animals. Okay, whenever we are assigning the names to the animals, so the third component what we are using, subspecies, and whenever we are using or whenever we are assigning the names to the plants, what we are using, the third component, variety. Okay, this much difference is there, otherwise both are representing the third component of the trinomial nomenclature, right? So example we have given that if we will talk about the cabbage and cauliflower, okay, both comes under the same family. Which one? That is the Brassicaceae. Okay. So here, if I will talk about the scientific name of the cabbage, what it is? Brassica oleracea. Brassica is what? It is a genus. Oleracea, it is a species. But here we are talking about the plant. So what the third component we have used? We have used the variety. Okay. Variety is what? It is the third component, and here we have used the word capitata. So capitata is what? It is the cabbage, and in case of cauliflower, that is the Brassica oleracea. Again we have used the word variety here, and the third component, it is what? It is the botrytis. Okay, so variety is capitata here and botrytis here, and due to this there will be different one. That is cabbage is what? Capitata, and cauliflower is what? Botrytis. Otherwise genus and species will be remain same here. Okay, and these are made up of three components, and other rules will remain same here. It means that genus having the first letter of the genus, capital letter, species first letter, it will be small one. Same here also. Okay, so make sure that this is a small o. Okay, so don't confuse, this is the small o. So here as well as in case of subspecies also, it will be smaller one, right? And when we are using for the handwritten, and we are underlining separately all the genus, species as well as the third component, subspecies or the variety, right? So here we have done the two different type of scientific naming, binomial nomenclature as well as the trinomial nomenclature. Okay, apart from that we are having some terms. Okay, in the biology there are some terms, that is the titonyms. Okay, so we are using the word deuteronyms is what, that when we are having the generic name as well as the specific name. Okay, genus as well as species name will be same, then what will happen, that this is known as the deuteronyms. Okay, so generic name and the specific epithet, it will be same here in case of deuteronyms. Example is what, when we talk about a Katla fish. So what is the scientific name of Katla fish? It is a Katla. Genus as well as species same. In case of rat, what is scientific name? Rattus. So both genus as well as species, they are same here. So what you will call this stuff? Deuteronyms. Okay. Now comes to the another term which is known as autonyms. So here what do you understand in the autonyms, that species as well as subspecies or the variety. Okay, again I am telling you, it is the same thing. Subspecies in case of animals, variety in case of plants. So what is going to happen, that the second component and the third component, it will remain same. Here we are talking about the trinomial nomenclature. Here you can see it comes under the binomial nomenclature and this comes under the trinomial nomenclature. So what is the scientific name of crow? It is the Corvus planans. So here species as well as the subspecies, then they are the same name. Okay. So here this is what, it is the autonyms. Right. Then comes to the homonyms. Homo means same. Right. So what is happening? There will be one scientific name and we are using the same scientific name for two or more species. Okay, or for two or more taxons. So here examples, you can, in case of almond also as a plum, what we are using? Prunus. Okay, this prunus, this prunus as a dulcis, this is the genera as well as this is the species. So we can use this name for any two or more than two species. So what the term you will use here? Homonyms. Right. Then comes to the another one, synonyms. We know synonyms in English also. So same thing. So here, why we are using the word synonyms? It means that when the different spelling is there. Okay, spelling they are different, but we are talking about the same name. For example, if we talk about the fungi. Okay, fungi is the one name. We can use this fungi, or we can talk about this when we are having these three types. What are they? Albugo candida, Cystopus candida and Hirudo candida. Right? So here, out of them, which is the valid name? Albugo candida. It is the valid name. But instead of that, we can use these words also. Okay? What are these words? Cystopus candida as well as Hirudo candida. So these are the synonyms for the first one as well as the first one we are using the most. So spelling is what? Spelling they are different, but we are talking about the same name here. Okay, so these are the things which are related to the nomenclature, or when we are talking about the naming here. Right, so we have, once we have identified, we will go for the nomenclature. Now when we have assigned the name, what we will do, we will classify in a proper manner. Okay, so in the next class we will talk about the classification. Right, so that's all for today. Thank you.